Hi, I haven't made a video in a while, so I'm making one today. And this one's actually going to be about piercings and stretching and body modification and the cleanings and um, job information when it comes to piercings. The first things first is almost any part of the body can be pierced, but it's not all. But it is always important to consider your individual anatomy before getting a piercing. Meaning how big your nose is for a septum, or how big your earlobes are, or something like that. Especially when it comes to dermals, if you have enough skin for that. Something else to consider is your future job and the kind of atmosphere you'll be working in. Not every place you apply to will accept piercing and tattoos, and that's most places. Because I don't know, I find it pretty stupid, but yeah. You have to think about your lifestyle. Will your new piercing be practical in day-to-day life on a daily basis? Some simple things like clothing and work dress codes can cause problems with certain body piercings. Like my septum ring, I've gotten my shirt caught several times on it. It hurts. Something else to consider is how your parents feel about your piercings, especially if you're under the age of 18, because you have to have a parent's consent, especially for a tattoo. But I know a place that doesn't ask for parents' consent, and I'm not going to tell you guys who. So not every piercing is for everybody. Not every person looks good with a piercing. Just saying. Um, there are several different kinds of piercings. I have several notes on these piercings. You have a labret, a Madonna, a Medusa, a side lip. Um, they're not called snake bites, by the way. They're just lower lip piercings. There is correct terminology for those. Same thing with spider bites, and the same thing with angel bites. You have not gotten bit by an angel, nor have you gotten bit by a spider. Oral piercings, you have the frowny, you have the smiley, which is up here, the frowny's down here, you have the tongue, you have the tongue venom, which I think is a double tongue piercing, and you have the tongue web, which is underneath the tongue. Maybe. I don't know. You have surface piercings. You have the belly button, the inverse navel, the nape, the nipple, the surface, the third eye, the ankle, the webbing, and I think it's called brooch. Um, and the facial piercings, you have the anti-eyebrow, the cheeks, the ear, the eyebrows, the nose, and the septum, which I love the most. You have genital piercings. And for the female, you have the clitoral, the clitoris, the triangle, the inner labia, the outer labia, and the Christina. For the male genital piercings, you have the prince, the aprodravia, weird, the reverse PA, the cuno, which is the foreskin. You have the frenulum, you have the dido, and the male pubic, and the hafada. For your piercings, you do have the anti-tragus piercing, the auricle piercings, the conch piercing, the dath piercing, which is, let me show you. I don't have it, but it goes right in between right here. I do plan on getting that really soon, including my tongue and this right here. You have the earlobe piercing, you have the ear weaving, you have the forward pinna, you have the helix, the industrial, the orbital, the pinna again, but it's not the forward. You have the rook, the scaffold, the snug, the tragus, and the transverse. The aftercare of your piercing is very important. You want to make sure you don't get any infections, obviously, or you would have to take it out. I've never had problems. I've never been my face. I don't have any rejections towards piercings or things like that because I've stretched my septum and I'm stretching it again to a 12 gauge as soon as I get that in the mail. The first 6 weeks is the most important time in piercing healing. During this time, it is sensitive to physical and chemical irritants, as well as bacterial invasion. You want to try your best to adhere to proper aftercare techniques during this 6 months. Keep your piercing dry and clean. Do your best not to contaminate your piercing with dirty hands. This includes makeups, soaps, and skincare products. Do not use products like rubbing alcohol, peroxide, Bactine, Neosporin, antibacterial, or antimicrobial products. These are actually very harsh to put on your piercing. I apologize, my phone's vibrating. To put on your piercing and will likely harm them than help them. You want to use things like witch hazel, any type of oils that are very natural. Do not pick off any of the buildup that builds up on your piercings. It can actually irritate the skin surrounding the piercing. Like especially when you go to get your septum pierced, once it starts to heal, you'll start to get crusty things like on the insides, and you're not actually supposed to pick those off. Your piercer will tell you that. My notes say to don't move or rotate the piercing. I completely disagree with that. I did rotate and I did move it when I got it first pierced because I didn't want it, I disagree with that. So I have lots of notes, you guys. This is going to be a long video. I do apologize. You want to avoid pressure from tight clothing or sleeping on your piercing, which I've done before and it hurts. This can actually cut off the circulation to the piercing and can cause irritation, migration, or even worse. Migration is when the piercing moves around the wrong place, like it's not supposed to. You want to avoid submerging your piercing in public water areas. Please don't do this. Reason being is public water areas contain large amounts of foreign bacteria, meaning feces and disgusting stuff from humans, animals, whatever's been in the water, fish. Fresh water does contain chemicals and a whole lot of other things you don't want near your fresh piercing. Avoid contact with bodily fluids on or near the piercing, which is saliva, sperm. Sounds disgusting, I know, but some females, ew. It can cause bacterial threats. If your piercing gets dirty, use soap that is mild and very gentle. Nothing with fragrances, dyes, moisturizers, or deodorants, or antibacterial ingredients. Jewelry should not be changed until piercing is completely healed. This is very important. You can look that up yourself on why. Stud guns. If you were to go to the mall and you were going to go into Claire's, I think it is, you can get a piercing for really cheap on your ears. They do use stud guns. There's a huge risk of infection and disease transmission. Not everyone has standard-sized earlobes. Piercing guns can cause blunt force trauma to the earlobes. Possible lack, and the person that's piercing could have a possible, lack of training. The jewelry is definitely poor quality. It's not real. I do know that for a fact. And it can be a very uneven piercing. To get a piercing, at least go to a tattoo shop, please. Don't do it yourself. Please, don't do it yourself. Because, you don't want it. You can't get your parents' permission, so you go to a friend's house and have them do it in your room or their bathroom or whatever. Wait till you're 18 and you can go and get it yourself. I actually had my mom take me to do mine because I talked them into it, so. Correct piercing terminology. There are over 200 different piercings. The ones that I named off are just the ones that people know the most, I guess. And the correct terminology is very important, especially when it comes to ear stretching, which is what my next video will be about, like when I make the next one. It is not called, I'm just going to get into ear stretching just a little bit, but it is not called gauging. I hate when people are like, oh, I have my ears gauged. You sound stupid. Like, you do. A gauge is the measurement. A gauge of jewelry refers to its size, not the type of jewelry it is. All body jewelry has a gauge, which is the thickness of the body jewelry. Like this right here, it's a 14. 14 gauge. When you want to enlarge a piercing, it is done through a process called stretching. That's when you can say, I have my ears stretched, not gauged. I can't stress that enough. There is actually a Piercy's Bill of Rights, and these are actually very, very important. There's 13 of them, and I'm going to give you all 13. Every person being pierced has the right to be pierced in a hygienic environment by a clean, consensuous, sober piercer, wearing a fresh pair of disposable medical examination gloves. Those little blue gloves, they should be wearing. I don't know if they're blue or clear, see-through. I don't know. Every person being pierced has the right to be pierced with a brand new, completely sterilized, single-use needle that is immediately disposed of in a medical sharps container after use on one piercing. That's the problem with going to a friend's house and you have them do your piercing for you. They're most likely using the needle more than once, and that can definitely cause infection. I've done that myself, me and my friend. I used a sewing needle a while ago to try and pierce my lip because I was an idiot. And I actually, my lips swelled up a little bit, but it was nothing serious. But yeah, just don't do that. Every person being pierced has the right to be touched only with freshly sterilized and appropriate implements, properly used and disposed of or re-sterilized, when appropriate, in an autoclave prior to use on anyone else. If you don't know what an autoclave is, you can search that up on Google. They'll tell you, they'll give you information. Usually when you go to your tattoo place, you should have, or your tattoo parlor, you should have the right to ask to see their autoclave, to make sure they do have one and that they are cleaning the tools the correct way. Every person being pierced has the right to know that the piercing guns are never appropriate. I've already mentioned this, and they are often dangerous when used on anything, including earlobes. Every person being pierced has the right to the peace of mind that comes from knowing that their piercer knows and practices the very highest standards of sterilization and hygiene. Every person being pierced has the right to have a knowledgeable piercer evaluate and discuss appropriate piercings and jewelry for her or his individual anatomy and lifestyle. I think I mentioned that in the beginning too. Every person being pierced has the right to be fully informed of all risks and possible complications involved in his or her piercing choice before making any decisions. Every person being pierced has the right to seek and receive a second opinion either from another piercer within the studio or from another studio. Every person being pierced also has the right to have initial piercing and fitted with jewelry of appropriate size, material, design, and construction to best promote the healing. Gold-plated, gold-filled, or sterling silver jewelry is never appropriate for any new or unhealed piercings. The same thing with ear stretching. You should never just go straight from stretching with... Oh, one thing. Oh wait, no, I just mentioned that in my other video. Tapers are not jewelry, just so you guys know. Pretty sure, I hope a lot of people know that, but I've seen people use tapers as jewelry, and it's the long stick looking things you're supposed to stretch your ear with. Every piercer has the right to see pictures, be given a tour of the piercing studio, and to have all questions fully and politely answered before making or following through with any decision. Every person being pierced has the right to be fully informed about proper aftercare, both verbally and in writing, to have continuing access to piercer for assistance throughout the healing process. Every person being pierced has the right to be treated with respect, sensitivity, and knowledge regardless of their gender, their sexual orientation, their race, their religion, their ethnicity, their ability, and the health status or piercing choice. Every every person being pierced has the right to change his or her mind, halt the process, and leave at any point of the situation if it gets uncomfortable or seems improper. I've so many notes. You see this off of this video? Yeah. So a lot of notes. 16-minute video. It's gonna be a little longer than that because I'm gonna keep talking a little bit. Not everyone can get a piercing. Cause not everyone's body can adhere to it, can properly heal with it. So just be careful and make the right choice. I think my next video is gonna be about body modifications, basically, strictly. So I'll probably make that next week. Well, just watch this video, tell me what you think. I gave a lot of information at home, and I do hope it helps anyone that decides to get a piercing super soon. Just watch this. Comment, thumbs up, thumbs down, opinions, subscribe to my page. I do appreciate that, especially opinions. Yeah, thanks for watching.